Hi, I'm Tamara Caulder Richardson, and welcome to the Seeking Heaven channel, where we explore the afterlife and beyond. Well, hello, everyone. I have a special guest with me here today. I've already got him on. Woo, my mystery guest. So welcome to the Seeking Heaven channel. Hope you're having a super day. Want to make sure that you stay to the end on this. This is going to be a riveting interview. I mean, what a treat. I have for you Mark Muncy. Now, I met his wife, Carrie, who's part of his business as well. And this is also their life, but they are authors. He is a cryptid author, among many other types of books that he has written. He's going to tell us about. He's also, let me put his information here. He is host of Eerie Travels, as well as NerdTalk and ParaGeeks, which can be seen on area52.tv. And I have his book, and you're going to want it too, because you're going to be super jealous. You're going to want to buy your own copy. This book is just so fascinating and fun at the same time too. And it talks about different cryptids through the Smoky Mountains, including where I'm from, North Carolina, but it covers Tennessee, Florida, all different places. He can tell you about that as we move forward. But you've written several other books. You had a booth at, where was it that I met Carrie, your wife? That was at the
Spruce Pine. The Spruce Pine.
It was the Alien Festival, and I was there, and I had a booth. And I did some sessions there, and then she wants me to talk next year or what have you. But I have a thing there. I had my own booth, and I had a little break toward the end of the afternoon. So I walked and just was so impressed with the knowledge that they've gathered around, well, really the U.S., because it's not just here in this region or in the Southeast. And so welcome to the Seeking Heaven channel. And I want to know so much more about you, and I know my viewers do too.
Well, we do the Eerie Travels podcast twice a week, and from that we always say, "Greetings, travelers," because you're all eerie travelers. That's what we do. We focus on the legends, folklore, history, UFO experiences, ghost experiences, Bigfoot hunters. We talk to all of them, and we get their stories, and then we dig into the history and folklore behind them. And we only talk about places you can go. We don't talk about private property. We don't talk about places that we do talk about places that are no longer there, but we talk about where you can go near them and still have fun and experience it. And then NerdTalk and ParaGeeks, our shows on Area 52. NerdTalk is where we just watch video game and movie trailers and and joke about what's coming up. And then ParaGeeks is a show I'm a consultant on. That they take evidence from videos, YouTube, and stuff that's sent to them, and then they run it through the ringer to see if they can find what's real, what isn't. And we have a tech expert, we have a video expert, an audio expert. We've got RPG, Ryan Golemsky from Finding Bigfoot. We've got Stacy Brown from Finding Bigfoot. We've got a bunch of Bigfoot experts. We've got UFO experts, the whole gamut. And we debunk a lot, but we also go, hey, this is something worth watching. So that's my shows. And then my books, like I said, I've been doing those for decades. I became a dad for a little while, for about 20 years. So I stopped writing for a little bit, did the day job thing, but I kept collecting stories. And that's why I was able to jump right back in 2008. So.
Oh, well, let me ask you, if I'm not mistaken, I was looking at your websites because they keep going deeper. If you go to Eerie Travels, it branches off. You've got other, do you have a publication company too? Or is this
Erica has the publication company. That's why she took me on. She's Four Horsemen Publications.
Okay.
And she co-hosts the Drinking with Authors podcast. And that's where she met me, was bringing me on one of the early episodes of Drinking with Authors.
Oh, that's funny. I love it.
I had a book out based on my haunted house that I ran for about 20 years while I was a dad. I couldn't do much else, so we ran the haunted house as a side thing, a charity haunted house. and that was down in Tampa Bay. And we based it on local folklore and legends. So instead of having a werewolf jump out at you, we had the skunk ape jump out at you. We had, instead of vampires in general, we had this one. We modified a legend of a local tavern and brothel owner named Madame Orr, and so we turned that into a vampire story from Dusk Till Dawn style. And that's what we did. Cool. And that's and then Erica bumped into me from there, and then I was doing the Erie, Florida books and the Erie, Appalachia books. And while I was doing those, Erica and I had been slowly working on getting a podcast together. We finally did. So,
well, I mean, you're busy. You're doing a lot. I mean, definitely this is a passion, and I want to find out. I mean, first of all, everybody check out his background. I mean, this is his office. How freaking cool is that? I mean, look at all the different things that you have behind you. You have movie posters. You have, I mean, when I was a kid, I would watch these monster creature features because I could deal with things, because I did actually see strange things in my room. I'm trying to overcome that fear and understand it. But look at all these really cool novelties that you've got. And I think, and point out a couple things you've got. These are pretty, I mean, these are really neat.
Her here, she's a Romanian doll that we rescued from a haunted location that had been brought as a trigger object to train, to see if they could interact with things. And they told me, hey, take her home. She seems to be having issues with the other dolls that people have brought. In the box down there is my mini Robert. We box him up when we're on TV. That's my mini Robert the Doll. I did the Robert the Doll documentary on Travel Channel. Curse of Robert the Doll.
He's not the real Robert. He's not the real Robert.
No, this is mini Robert. He got to hang out with real Robert quite a bit while we filmed that. So we treat him just like real Robert. My cabinet of curiosities over there is filled with evidence and other things that have been sent to me or of stuff. I'm an epileptic, so I don't get to do as much boots on the ground as I like, but that's part of the reason we do the books, is we can go to the places, and it's, hey, if it's easy access for me, it's easy access for anybody.
Well, that's true, because there are people that have, maybe physical restraints. They can't do certain things. And I love how you mentioned the restaurants and what to expect. And it's just so warm. The book is, you know what I have to tell you, I admire about you and Carrie so much. And I haven't met Erica. I'm sure I'll love her. But the fact that you talk about these, I mean, you're like me, a little taboo. You're going to put it out there because it's real to some people. It's definitely real, and they've witnessed it. I witnessed it, and many times people eyewitness things, not singularity, but in a group. And then you also add the playfulness and the fun and this childlike wonder and this exploration and adventure. And I think that sometimes when people get older, they forget that childlike excitement and wonder and glimmer in their eye, and that thirst for adventure. And I definitely promote that. I'm definitely like that, and I see that you're like that too. I have little robots. I think I told you I collect 10 robots and 10 toys that look like spaceships, and you click it, and then the little launch pad steps come down.
Classic.
Yeah, I've got all that stuff. I just Roby the robot, and then I've got female ones, and I've got to wind them up, and So my mom's like, "You never grew up." I'm like, "What's the point?" So
I got Captain America shield over there and Doctor Who stuff behind him. No, I was a monster kid. It was the way we grew up in the 70s. I had my earliest childhood experience is seeing some dark shape in our attic. In Dayton, Ohio, and my mom grabbing me and bringing me down the stairs because something scared me, and I fell in love with that. Then I wanted to know what it was. I was gotta be like 5 or 6 years old, because we moved out of that house.
Was it a shadow person?
It seemed like it was dark, but I remember the red eyes staring at me.
Oh, you're kidding. Red. No, that's not the red.
Yeah. No, that was definitely, that's what's in my head.
Got it.
And then, we had land in right on that Kentucky, West Virginia border, the family land there, the Muncy homestead. And that's been there for, centuries. and since the 1700s. And my family grew up on that. My parents were born. My father was born there. My grandmother was born there. But that land had a cryptid, a story on it that was one of those, we like to call holler monster stories, where it's just only the people in that little area know about it. And it has the head of a man, like a dish-shaped head of a man, the body of a big cat, although some of the stories say like a small cow, and then a dark-shaped body. The head kind of glows. And then it has a wooden leg in the front. So that's what makes it, very country. And this beast roams the Gobel Ridge at night, and it jumps from tree to tree like a big cat. And then if you're a bad person and you're riding on your horse underneath it, whomps you with that stick and knocks you off the horse. And so this terrifying creature was called the bench leg of Gobel Ridge. And this silly name. That's what we learned with all these monsters. They all have really silly names. I heard about this growing up my whole life, and I was like, it's stupid. I want to see ghosts. Star Wars came out. I wanted to see aliens. I didn't want any of this to do with this thing. But I was out, say 8 or 9 years old, walking around in the woods at night because it was what we did there. And I was looking for UFOs. So I had to be 9.
Of course.
Right after Close Encounters. And the horses in the field run past me. And I'm like, oh, something spooked the horses. It's late at night. I wonder what that is. And both of them ran past. We didn't have any more. And then I saw a deer go by. I'm like, oh, something big out here. And I'm like, oh, it's a bear. And I've got a BB gun. This is not going to be good. All I'm going to be able to do is go poop, and it's just going to go what? And then eat me. So I was like, all right, I better kind of skedaddle. And then I saw something kind of glowing running through the brush. And I saw that weird head. I didn't see if it had a wooden leg. I didn't see the body very well. And it just was dark on dark. And it just looked at me and then ran past. And I realized I had a bench leg story now. And I realized every one of my family that had lived on that property or visited that property had some sort of bench leg story. And I realized this is a real thing. I don't understand it. I can't explain it. But that's when I start looking into the folklore and history and find some real stuff behind it.
What did his head look like again? You said it glowed, and what did it look like?
It looked like some sort of bald, misshapen, like deformed human head.
Okay,
with very human eyes. Very human eyes.
Forgive me for stepping in here like this, but
no, it's right.
Do you think maybe that because every member of your family's seen it, that there's a familiarity somehow that is kind of, because it looked at you like, that he kind of knows that you're with the land, that because even with creatures, and I love calling them creatures because that's just so fun. Monsters are good too. I love the word creature there. Yeah. But that you could, there's boundaries. There's territory boundaries. There's territory. That's why I'm like, nope, that's theirs. That's that's the chupacabra. Leave it alone. Yep. But that he knew this is your area. This is your family thing. Because do you think there was an awareness versus a replay? Do you think there was an awareness? It looked at you, right?
Yeah, no, totally. It definitely was like, it was kind of like a, not really a nod or anything. It just looked and then just come around. And again, like, blink of an eye. I'm talking seconds. Like he knew you. It seared into my brain.
Yeah, like he knew you or knew the family in some capacity. So I'm wondering. I'm wondering, and this is going to be so much fun, this conversation, and because I want to know your past, how you got to this, what you do, just everything. But this particular monster creature, that's even a better word, but monster creature, do you think that some of these come from the land, not quite like an elemental, but that they're born somehow of I guess you could say it like an elemental. For example, I'll give you an example. I love the X-Files, love Star Wars, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Saw it all. When I was a kid, I was watching Night Gallery by myself. I loved all that stuff. But there was an episode of the X-Files, the current X-Files with Mulder, Scully, and they're outdoors and they kind of get sunken in by the mushrooms. But there's an area where there's like a moss, and it's not really a tree, it's like a ledge, and it's a face in there, and it's alive. And so it's a maybe an elemental that not a typical like a fairy or a gnome, but it's part of the land. Do you think that somehow that some of these things are created as part of the land?
I definitely think there's, like, we like to call it, instead of supernatural or paranormal, we like to call it preternatural stuff that we don't understand yet. Someday we might, someday we should. And it's just, we haven't put the time, the effort, or we don't have the time, the effort, or the ability to study these things yet. We haven't developed that technology. And, the preternatural one generation becomes the natural of the next. I mean, hundreds of years ago, we didn't understand magnetism. And now we figured it out,
right.
And all that. It's same thing. I think some of this is tied to the land. The story of the bench leg, when I dug into it, there was this whole folklore legend about a peddler who'd been killed by robbers, and they killed his ox to hide the body, and so that way.
Ew! I just got that. Ew!
Yeah, terrible.
Ew.
But what I found out looking into it, we found the story of the men who robbed him, who were caught, were executed, and in Lexington, Kentucky. And then years later, we're doing the podcast. This is just 5 years ago or 3 years ago. 3 years ago, some guy emails me from Lexington, Kentucky. He's related to the story. I'm like, what? Cool. He said, yeah, his great grandfather was some notorious, black sheep of the family, because he had been hung in Lexington for murdering a peddler in Louisa, Kentucky. And I was like, what?
Yeah, that's not random. That is not random.
No,
that's not random. And the fact that you were on the land where this originated, this is not a random. It's almost like, it's some kind of like creature healing process. But people are very powerful. I mean, they can be poltergeists. They can create poltergeist. I've had people go, "Oh, we got something in the house." I'm like, "Nah, it's your daughter." They can do that. But with time, and they're in altered states, altered dimensions, and so forth, they could create these beings, which is really like an altered self, right?
Yeah, that's what we think about. Was the term egregore or tulpa? Those are things where people have intention manifest these things. And the Philip experiment is a whole thing. Duke University, they tried to create a ghost, and then psychics were able to pick up on it and pull up information that only the students involved even knew about. It's stuff they had made up. But that just shows how the power of the mind can affect these things. And that's what I think maybe some of this is, the mind brought something forth, or maybe it opened a portal to something else. Maybe somebody really wanted vengeance for, was a poor peddler and created this thing. Right. We don't know. It's a Mothman that hasn't popped.
Mothman. That's cool.
That's what we like to think. It's these holler monsters, the ones I write about, the ones I document, exactly like that. I'm like, if I hadn't told that story, it would be dead by my generation, because we don't have my brother's kids do go up to that area and do a little bit. My kids talk about it a little bit, but it's dying off. Each generation, it dies off a little more, a little more, a little more. And how many of these stories are gone because the family never left the holler and just died out? So.
Well, but you're keeping it alive and you're honoring that. And I can tell you that one thing that with my experience with, if you want to call them ghosts, they're ghosts. And I think of that commercial I don't know, it's like a cleaning product, or I don't remember what the commercial is, but where it's ghost or spirit, but ghost, they, when you honor them and respect them and show them that they really appreciate that, right? They do. And I can imagine this is, because you're honoring, this being, whatever it is now, that's created into Mothman, you're still the base part of it that originated. Could be just the man, but you're honoring that just by telling the story. So that's super cool. And I think that it's really important in all these topics, which I've myself had a lot of experiences of a whole different things, that it really is about respect and boundaries and intent, right? you know,
no, always. And that's, like I said, that became my, all right, I got to document this stuff. And that's where it all came from. And it's
really, so through the family. So, but it was in your, the red eye was in your attic. Don't you think these experiences are placed? I mean, of course, you know, if you grasp onto the concept of the holographic universe, that we're creating these experiences. You can say God's given to us, we're creating it as a co-creation. Tomato. You know, however this is happening, this is being created on our path. And because it woke you up early on, didn't it?
Yeah, that was just it. It made me realize there's more things out there than I will ever understand. And this dark thing, reached out. I remember being scared. That's all I remember. And I remember my mother carrying me downstairs. Apparently I blacked out or something. That could explain my epilepsy. It could explain a lot of things. But we don't know. It's and that's just it. I don't remember it attacking me. I don't remember it reaching for me. I don't remember anything like that. It was just there, and I was shocked by it. That's all I got. And that's I think with all this stuff, we don't know. This could be stuff that is, it could be in our heads. It could be something but we are seeing things that others don't. The brain's a weird thing, and we start experiencing stuff that maybe we couldn't experience before. That's why people say, oh, it takes that one near-death experience or something like that, and it opens that door. I think that's just it. Once you've got that little crack open, it goes open, and all these people who keep it closed, just remember at some point that's going to get blown off its hinges. Yeah. And that could be unhealthy. Whereas this, as long as you got that door a little open, the wind will come through. And from someone who lived in Florida for 30 years, I know about hurricanes.
Well, Mark, I love how you're talking about looking at these topics with a healthy skepticism and also having boundaries, because I don't feel always inclined to open Pandora's box. I am a curious sort, but sometimes opening up, you can't close it. Yeah. And so sometimes when I hear no, you can say it's my guides, my angels, God, whoever, my higher self. But when I hear no, and I feel, you can feel it right in your chest, like, no, I just like, okay, then that's good enough. But at the same time, I'm like you, I want, if I get a yes, I really want to know. I really want to know. I haven't Bigfoot. I haven't, that's not, that's on my bucket list. My bucket list is odd. It's not like other people, like go to Italy and go, get on a gondola. I mean, mine is like, hang out with Bigfoot and talk to him. So, this is interesting. And I think that your approach is healthy. So many people I talk to, that they still have this lingering fear, whether it's alien, UFOs, the paranormal, or ghosts. They have this fear. And I personally, being, I've been unusual. I didn't just become an evidential psychic medium. I always saw into other dimensions. And it was difficult to process, because I didn't have an adult to be able to go through and say, hey, this is something here. This is how to protect yourself. This is how to shut it down. Just tell them you don't want to talk to them. Or I didn't have that person. But I think now that's helped make me stronger to have a higher confront with things. And I also realized that, like, for example, ghosts. Well, we could be a ghost. I mean, this is like, this body is like pretty, we're not, this is just, I mean, I appreciate the avatar, but we're not here that long. We could actually be a ghost. And the ghosts used to be people, and they're a little upset, some of them.
I think if you were a jerk in life, you're going to be a jerk in the afterlife. I hate when people go, oh, it's, of course, the YouTube. Remember, I've been on TV. I know the difference between reality and TV. TV is entertaining. Remember, they're editing it, and they know the keywords that trigger folks. And same on YouTube. The YouTubers, oh, it's a demon. It's a demon. All right. Not everything's a demon.
No, 100% I agree with you. Okay. We're talking the same language. I have been in the presence of that, and it's awful. But most things are not that.
No, but so we've talked to millions of ghost cases through, because we literally have talked to investigators who've investigated thousands and tens of thousands. So if we add it all up, we're probably in 7 digits of how many ghost adventures that we have talked to. It's so funny that every one of them will tell you that maybe 0.1% is something so negative that they would associate it with an infestation of some sort, like a, a negative demonic or whatever you want to call it.
Right. Like Bob Mackey's like bar or whatever. I mean, I just look at that. I've seen it on TV. I was like, oh, I don't even want to go there. I just feel nauseous.
Bulldozed now. So yeah, it's bulldozed now. So
it's bulldozed. Oh yeah, they did. They tore that down. But yeah, there's certain places I'm like, ugh. And then I think about John Zaffis. I used to love his show, Haunted Collector. And I tell people, be careful in antique places because they carry energy and frequency of that person, especially like if it's a Civil War hair comb and the hair's still in it. That's a big red flag.
Again, that's also set your boundaries, just like with a person. So, hey, I'm here to look into this house. I'm here with these investigators.
That's what I say.
We're just here to get your story. I'm just here to
that's what I do. No problem. I do that everywhere I go, or if there's a haunted location. And you could just be in life. You don't have to do this professionally. You could be on vacation and be looking at a historical place. It's haunted. You just say, hey, I'm here with my family. I wish you well. You've got a lovely home. I just want to see how beautiful your home is and hear your story. I wish you no harm. I just wish you only goodwill. And they're like, cool. Exactly.
That's what it should be. And that's, but then also just say, hey, and you can stay here. You don't need to come back to my place. That's all you
gotta, that's what I do. See, I'm leaving. You stay here.
No, Erica, my co-host, she's our nope lady. She's the one that's terrified of everything. Nope. And
really? Oh, did she sign the book? She signed the book. Nope.
Yeah, that's her call sign. So
that's her. That's funny.
So I've got to drag her to places, but she's very empathic, and she has some techniques that I'll never understand. And that's what, when we took her to Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum for our next book that's coming out, Dark Heart of Appalachia, she couldn't even go past the front gate. I got her into the gift shop, which is right inside the door, and that was enough. She had to bolt out of there. And I felt bad because I thought, okay, I'm fine in the first level. It's the back area that's the really scary part, but she could even get that far. And she could actually feel them in the yard and stuff like that. So
she's sensitive?
She's very sensitive for that stuff. So
maybe that's it. Yeah, she's sensitive. Well, luckily, I do a lot of readings of things, of homes. I've done it for businesses or land. I can read the land and tell you the history, and I can go in there and do and tell you who's lived there, who's died, and all, without even going there, which is great
nice.
because I don't have to be there. So that's really we
like I said, preternatural. We're learning about quantum entanglement. We're learning about interstitial, interdimensional, and we're realizing, okay, it's all connected and we're all energy. So it's, how are we not able? I've seen an exorcism performed via an internet thing and it worked. And again, intention is everything. And if there's a higher power out there, which I like to believe there is he bound by, by space that you don't happen to be there? Yeah, you should be able to, their power should be infinite. So.
And I love what you told me over the phone. You said that you really weren't much of a religious guy, but you want to finish that?
Yeah, I wasn't, but researching this stuff and doing all this stuff, I was a very young kid. I was pen pals with Hans Holzer. I was pen pal. He introduced me to the Warrens. I didn't even know who the hell they were. This is before Amityville. This is before any of that. My dad used to drive me. My dad was a Greyhound bus president. So he'd have to drive to all these Greyhound places, and he'd just take me along. If I said, hey, there's a place here I wanted to talk to, he'd take me. Connecticut, middle of nowhere, Connecticut, left me with the Warrens for 4 hours because it was the 70s. You don't care. Yeah. Your 9-year-old can hang out with these old people that we've never met.
You met with the Warrens at 9 years old.
Yeah.
You're my new hero. That is just so freaking cool. You were like a cool little weird kid.
Hans Holzer told me they had investigated the infield poltergeist, which I was fascinated with as a kid because kid girls were involved. Of course, I was fascinated with this case. And that's the sort of thing. We did all that with all these people, and I went on an investigation with a local team out of Charleston, West Virginia. And we went to a very spooky place that was supposedly had a ghost, a poltergeist. We got there. It was much worse than a poltergeist. It was scary, scary, scary. It's probably the scariest thing I've been to in a long time. it would be up there with some of the places I've been recently.
Really?
But,
you did not see that coming?
I did not. I was a kid. They brought me on. They thought we were going to, do ghost hunting with dowsing rods and and a psychic. The psychic started crying. She was on the floor. My brain is blowing up, and this wasn't for like TV or anything. So this is, the real deal. The smell was hitting me, whatever it was, suddenly out of the blue, this beautiful house. And then this dark voice came out of nowhere.
Oh no.
Hit all of us. It was just like,
everyone heard the audible voice.
Everybody heard it. And that was
okay. What did it threaten you, the voice?
It was a language I didn't understand. So, but it was very threatening.
Oh gosh, it spoke like in tongues. Ew,
yeah, something bizarre. I think now looking into it, trying to remember it as best as I could, I think it was Aramaic. Anyway, and then it attacked a person, but that person held on to their religious item at the time, which was a Star of David, because she was Jewish, and it stopped. It backed off, and then suddenly the smell was gone, the voice was gone. I still get goosebumps. Everything was gone, and it just suddenly felt warm. And I'm like, boom. My brain was like, okay, there are these terrible, terrible things out there.
Angels.
But something kept it at bay. Yeah.
So if you don't protection came.
Something came. And there was definitely a higher power involved. So
I've seen the same thing where it's been really, I have, I think you think, why do people experience really bad, dark things? Well, there's on the bright side, it's because when you experience these really dark things, it in the future. You go, wait a minute, this feels very familiar. The other thing is once you have that feeling, you first of all go, wow, there is an element. And I know a lot of these New Agers, starseeds, and they believe there's no such thing as evil. I'm like, why? You see it in the world. I don't understand. But and especially in the spiritual nature, they don't believe in things. But once you've seen it, you also realize that, or for me anyway, I can only speak for myself, but a lot of people come to this conclusion, is that you go, wow, that's truly evil. I'll count on a higher power. There's no way I could have handled this. And this handled it, and it backed off.
Yeah.
And it was funny. There's a guy, and boy, YouTube would love hanging out. Chip Reckenthal, he used to have a syndicated program. I don't know how many talked about creatures and paranormal, and he was very well known. And he's getting back into radio. Super nice guy, and he's Jewish. And he would go to these. They would do research investigations in like these famous psychiatric wards and so forth. And he said that one of them was really. They kept seeing black shadows. It got really gnarly. And he said that they brought in Jesus, and he said, everything just backed off of them. And I said, yeah, but you're Jewish. He goes, it works.
It works. What do they fear, right? That's the thing.
What do they fear?
We always joke about why suddenly about 2,000 years ago that all the vampires of the world started going, why do these small letter T's start hurting us all of a sudden?
Yeah, exactly. That's funny, but you're right. You think people go, well, I don't know if I believe or not. Here's the thing, they do.
Yeah, and if you put enough intention and enough power is behind that, guess what?
And you go, yeah, he's holy, and I'm putting him here, and they're like, oh, we don't like that. So that's the main thing. I totally agree, and it is a spiritual warfare. But even in life, I don't want to start any ruckuses or anything, and I want to kind of walk in peace. But I think what you do, it's important to continue this research. Now let's get into the cryptids. How did that morph? Because you went into the paranormal naturally. Yeah. I can't believe 9 years on the Warrens. That's just so cool. Gosh, where do you go from there? You've hit the high place.
I have no idea. And I was just, and even then, I kind of got out of it as a young teen. I was doing horror movies. And all that. I was acting and doing sound effects for a lot of stuff.
You did like Super 8 horror movies by yourself?
No, I was working on really terrible TV shows that were filmed in Orlando.
Later in life, not like as a child.
Yeah,
later in life.
I stayed on it through high school and all that, but I never really got big into it. I was a kid. I was focusing on life. But I still loved it. I would watch horror movies. I would watch the supernatural documentaries, the few that were on then, we're drowning in them now, which is great.
Yeah, which is great.
I was a kid in the 80s in West Virginia, so sci-fi horror was hard to get as it was. Paranormal was impossible to get. And I'd probably be burned at the stake for playing Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. And in fact, my D&D club got banned out of high school, so we had to change it to the Doctor Who club. We played the Doctor Who role-playing game, which was the same thing. And it was, but that was okay. Yeah, that's what we had to do to get away with it. But then, like I said, high school, I got into acting, got into drama, and I was storytelling. That was my other thing, was I was still storytelling. And that became going to Hollywood East, Orlando, and I worked on Superboy and Swamp Thing and terrible TV shows.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I love B horror movies, which some of them are, I mean, like the Ginger Dead Man with Gary Oldman. I love all these cheesy, but going back even further, I mean, I've always loved, I don't necessarily go for A films or so forth. I love the independent, and also like Joe Bob's Drive-In. I love Joe Bob's.
Oh, I love Joe Bob.
Oh yeah, Joe Bob. And Mystery Science Theater. That too.
Yeah, Joe Bob gave me grief about Erie, Appalachia because I put Jersey Devil in it, and he's like, Jersey Devil isn't Appalachia. It's like, that's Jersey. I'm like, Pine Barrens are Appalachia, Joe Bob, and we had a big fight, and I had to show him the map, and he was just like, okay, you win.
Yeah, he does have a lot of knowledge, and I love how he's bringing back the Drive-In. But for years we'd watch the Mystery Science Theater. My husband's a big
MST3Ks. Grew up with that too. Yep.
He can quote all of that. We've been to their shows and all. Yeah, we've been to their shows. So I think it's part of this whole genre that I think is just absolutely fascinating. So how did you get into the cryptids? I mean, obviously it's all part of it.
And that was just it. It was like we started running the haunted attraction, which was, I couldn't do all this stuff anymore. I became a dad, and I was like, well, I can't just keep making stupid TV shows and movies. I need a day job. I got the day job, but I still love the spooky. And I decided, let's do our own haunted house. I couldn't afford to take my kids to Halloween horror nights, so I made my own in my backyard. And as we were digging, we discovered that we were on a shell midden of the original tribes there, and the Tokabega and of Tampa Bay. And we were like, oh goodness, at least it's not a burial mound or anything, as a shell midden, which is basically just a garbage pile. But it meant that this area was inhabited. And when we were discovering that, I looked into it and I found out, there's lost cemeteries in Tampa Bay. Well, that people just don't know where they're at, and things have been built on them. And I was like, okay, well, that's our theme for our haunt. It'll be a lost cemetery and things can come back. And we decided to base it all on local lore and legends. And that's when I started I thought I was just going to get ghost stories. I knew a lot of them. And a big one was mini lights. That's a long story. We'll get into that another time. But one of the ones, I started getting these cryptids from South Florida that I did not know about. And I'm like, how do I not know about a giant turtle that saved a family from a hurricane in the 1930s? That's amazing. And I dig into it, and there's some truth behind it. And it's like, oh goodness. So the haunt became that, and it became, send us your stories. We put a website up, send us your stories. And it was instant hit. I had to put it in time. It was a GeoCities website with an AOL email address. So that'll give you what days of the internet this was. And people started sending us stories, and I kept collecting them. And I'd work as many of them into the haunt as I could. And then the haunt went bye-bye. We got too big for our britches. The city shut us down. We had like 10,000 people coming through every weekend. All for charity, but hey, we understand. And then it went away, but I had all those stories. And that's when I'm like, hey, I'm going to go to these places, look into them more. And suddenly I started finding more and more and more. And that the rest is history. It was Erie, Florida, then Freaky Florida, then Creepy Florida. Finally, they let me go back to Erie, Appalachia in 2020. And then, and now Darkside of the Smokies. I got a new publisher, so we can go crazy with it. So it's all good.
So a lot of these creepy, spooky stories you're going to share with us, and I want everybody to stay tuned. We're gonna do a part 2. We're just tapping into some of this because I really think it's important that people see the setup about your life. And I know there's so much more, but I'm still stuck on 9 years old and Warren. I'm like, wow, that's ambitious. I love it. And then the 10,000 people going to see your spooky house in your backyard. I mean, these are just you really need a book on yourself. I mean, this is just what a fantastic life. I mean, so far it's just amazing. And you didn't go along with things have to be a certain way. You're not like, no, I'm going to do life my way. And so you've done that, and you're sharing your creepy stories with other people. And people are interested in that now. They're waking up. It's just, I still think we need to work on getting them over the fear and realizing how powerful they are. And you could even say how powerful they are with a divine protection around them. If they just realize that, that's so helpful. Yep. That they're not a victim, that they can embrace and look at these things comfortably. So stay tuned for part 2, and we're going to talk about some actual creepy, spooky cryptid stories. Okay. Thank you, Mark. And we're going to see everybody in part 2.
See you on the other side.
All right. I love it. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, like, make comments, and share with your friends. I appreciate you and your continued support.